You know, one of the lines that has become clear to me in Kendrick Lamar's performance last night is 40 acres and a mule. And that line is particularly potent for many Black Americans. And it happens to be a line that I remember from my education growing up in grade school in the Bronx. And I vaguely remember what it was about. It was something that was promised enslaved people. I can't remember whether I was told it was before or after emancipation, but it had to do with the Civil War.
Kendrick Lamar didn't just perform at the Super Bowl. He made a statement. His halftime show wasn't just about entertainment. It was about symbolism, storytelling, and pushing boundaries.
White woman boomer here, wanting to chime in on the incredible, genius performance yesterday during the halftime. I have never been more proud of our youth, our Black community.
Samuel L. Jackson comes out as Uncle Sam. And the first thing that I see immediately with the way that he's speaking is Django Unchained. Okay. And he says, this is the great American game. And then Kendrick Lamar sits on top of, or stands on top of, or squats on top of a car. And all of his people come out of that car, like rolled up, ready to go. Boom. We coming out. All of us at one time. Okay. And then he says, the revolution will be televised. And this is very, very similar to another quote from the 1970s of the revolution will not be televised.
Hey fam, Gracie here once again. Welcome back to the channel. I am hoping that from wherever you my people are watching this from, you're doing all right and God has protected you and preserved you very well. And to you that continuously give support to me on here, I do appreciate you. And to my members, shout out to you guys. You're doing amazing as well. And as always, we are back with another juicy, enlightening, good episode. And in this one, we are going to be looking at palm-colored boomers, those that were there and understood the real assignment that Kendrick had on that stage and their perspective on this. They are dissecting through the symbolism, the art, the poetry, and each and everything that was in there. And yeah, I want you to let me know what you think in the comment section. But before we even dive into it, it's good to see them taking accountability, but how many of them are willing to take action towards the struggle that Kendrick Lamar was addressing? It's not the first time to see them come out, but how many of them are willing to change things? If you're landing on the channel for your very first time, please do not forget to subscribe. Let's watch this, come back and talk about it.
You know, one of the lines that has become clear to me in Kendrick Lamar's performance last night is 40 acres and a mule. And that line is particularly potent for many Black Americans. And it happens to be a line that I remember from my education growing up in grade school in the Bronx. And I vaguely remember what it was about. It was something that was promised enslaved people. I can't remember whether I was told it was before or after emancipation, but it had to do with the Civil War. And I've since had my memory refreshed, and it was something that the federal government promised enslaved people that they would get, and it would help them get a head start. But as with many promises given to Native Americans, they didn't come through. And I never really equated 40 acres and a mule because it was not something that really ever touched my life. But in thinking about it this morning, I never really equated it with something else that was very important to American life, which was the Homestead Act. Now, if you don't recall the Homestead Act, for some reason, there's a lot of American history that really stayed with me. And the Homestead Act was an act that the federal government felt was extremely important because they wanted to populate the Midwestern part of our country, the prairie. And so they offered 160 acres free and clear to people who would farm the land, ranch the land. I guess it was really only good for farming, but they would give free and clear 160 acres to people, and they had mapped out a huge swath of prairie land. And it was white people who took that land, and that's how a lot of our Midwest cities came into being. And they didn't rescind that promise. They gave 160 acres to people free and clear. And all they had to do was stake it out. And this may be apocryphal, but I seem to remember in class hearing how there was a date and they had people lining up and they set off a bell and you could just go and stake out your plot of land and it was yours and you could farm it. And that was the beginning of generational wealth for a lot of white people. A lot of these people came from Germany and Middle European countries, and they got a stake in this country. And here we have enslaved people who were brought over against their will and finally released from bondage and promised for their servitude they would be given 40 acres and a mule, and a mule, and they got nothing. And they had to start from scratch. Just a thought. Think about that. Think about how you'd feel if that promise was made to you and then you were just blown off. Okay, that's it. See you next time.
Kendrick Lamar didn't just perform at the Super Bowl, he made a statement. His halftime show wasn't just about entertainment, it was about symbolism, storytelling, and pushing boundaries. The entire performance unfolded across 4 stages that were shaped like a PlayStation controller button. And that wasn't just a design choice, it was Lamar's way of showing his life as a video game, a journey through obstacles, survival, and resistance. While many people appreciated the artistry, others, especially some white viewers, felt confused or even uncomfortable. Some white folks watched and thought that was cool, but others dug deeper, listened to black voices breaking down the symbolism, and realized just how layered the performance was. The American flag imagery, the way the dancers moved, and the subtle nods to Lamar's ongoing themes, it was all intentional. But some white folks weren't just confused, they were angry. Some were upset that there were no white performers, no white dancers, no obvious appeal to white audiences. People who usually claim they don't see color suddenly saw it everywhere. But why did it bother them? Because this performance wasn't centered on them. It wasn't for them, by them, and about them. It didn't ask their permission, seek their approval, or cater to their comfort. And that's unsettling when you're used to being in control. Seeing Samuel L. Jackson as a black Uncle Sam, watching a show that didn't need whiteness at its center, that flipped the usual power dynamic. It puts whiteness in the position of the observed, and for some, that was too much. This is the same discomfort some people felt when a black man walked into the White House. The same outrage that erupts whenever black joy exists outside of white validation. Because black joy, self-sustained, unbothered, and fully free, has always been seen as a challenge to white supremacy. But here's the thing. Art doesn't have to center us for us to appreciate it. We don't have to fully understand something for it to be valuable. Curiosity and humility go a long way. And instead of reacting with fear or frustration, we can choose to learn. So today, I'm grateful for the voices that helped me see what I missed. And I'm thankful for the artists, the activists, the storytellers who challenge me to think beyond my own lens. Because last night, Kendrick Lamar didn't just put on a halftime show, but he put up a mirror. And what we saw in it, that's up to us.
Samuel L. Jackson comes out as Uncle Sam. And the first thing that I see immediately with the way that he's speaking is Django Unchained. Okay. And he says, this is the great American game. And then Kendrick Lamar sits on top of, or stands on top of, or squats on top of a car. And all of his people come out of that car, like rolled up, ready to go. Boom. We coming out. All of us at one time. Okay. And then he says, the revolution will be televised. And this is very, very similar to another quote from the 1970s of the revolution will not be televised. And it is an extremely beautiful song about revolution. Then he goes into the American flag, right, with his people. And they're all wearing like jail outfits, but in red, white, and blue. And he's standing in the middle of the American flag. And the symbolism just gets heavier and heavier, right? And then he goes into be humble, sit down. Be humble, sit down. Reminding the American people that that is what we have told Black people for generations, hundreds and hundreds of years. Be humble, sit down. Don't get too loud. Don't get too crazy. You better fucking not. And then Samuel L. Jackson comes back out and says the same shit, right? And then he goes into my DNA. My DNA. And he's saying, I'm perfect the way that I am. And you cannot fucking change me. And I'm fucking happy with that. So fuck you. Right? And then the marching, right? Everybody is marching and everybody is ready. And I'm sure Donald Trump, he's like, gone right past his fucking head, which is brilliant. Because Donald Trump has no idea what this symbolism is about. He just knows that he doesn't like it, right? And then they go to sitting on the block, on the corner, right? And there is no music. It's just voices, beatboxing, like making a beat. And that is the true version of hip hop. That's where it came from. That's how it started, right? From the fucking boogie down Bronx, which is subsequently where I used to live a long time ago. So, and then Samuel Jackson comes back out and he calls him a culture cheater, right? And demotes him one life. Symbolism again. I demote you one life. You better not. You better stay humble. You better sit the fuck down. And then everybody goes into rooms. And everybody is in their own room doing their own thing, right? And they're all just coming at each other like, until finally everybody is in one room behind Kendrick. And they're all focused on one fucking thing. And it's so amazing. And then they go into the SZA thing with If the World Was Mine, right? And that right there, it just put me into this whole thing with the DEI attacks going on right now. And then he does the thing, which, of course, we know it has a double meaning, right? Yes, it's a Drake diss, but it's now become something else. And then he goes into turn your TV off. Because you're not seeing what's actually happening. The TV is not showing you what is actually happening. So fuck it. Stop feeding into the bullshit. God, this was the most important performance. I mean, first we got fucking Gaga. I know we got this. Man, this is how I know. Shit like this is how I know we are in some deep shit right now. We are in some deep shit. This world is not going to be the same. Nope, it already isn't. Let me backtrack. It's not. We're just saying it out loud now. God damn it. I love you, fucking Kendrick Lamar. Fucking great performance.
Fellow Americans, just my quick little rant on this halftime nonsense. I mean, come on, stop with the ghetto crap. I'm done with the ghetto. I've had it up to here with ghetto. I know they want to say rap is this and rap is the streets and rap is the current and rap is the that. Look at jazz. Black and jazz blues artists. Give me jazz. You want to go black? Go art. Don't go ghetto. Let's lift the streets. Let's lift these kids off the streets.
Okay, Ku Klux Kevin, let's get a few things out of the way up front. For those of you who don't know, this is Robert Davi. He's an actor. Let's go over some of the movies that you played a starring role in. You were in The Goonies as a counterfeiter. You was in this movie, License to Kill, as a drug lord. You were in this movie as a special agent called Big Johnson, and your sidekick was Little Johnson. Now, in Showgirls, you only played a supporting role, and I should point out there's nothing wrong with strip clubs or working at strip clubs. I'm only pointing this movie out because you did play a supporting role in it, where you were nominated for Worst Supporting Actor. So when you come in here with this bullshit argument that don't make art that influences kids to do bad things, I offer the call may be coming from inside the house. As for the halftime show that you improperly represented, let's go over what it really was. It started out with Kendrick Lamar on top of a car talking about the struggles he's seen, things he's been through. Then we saw Samuel L. Jackson represent Uncle Sam or the government trying to dictate the life of a black man. We even saw Kendrick Lamar represent what looked to be like a prison yard, talking about the mass incarceration, the over-incarceration of black people in America. We then see him come out and talk about despite it all, he made it through and you can too, giving a message of be bigger than the struggle. You know, the same message that you were telling him to send to kids. I guess you didn't listen or pay attention. We also saw this representation where the American flag was made out of black bodies, which is a message that reminds America that slavery built the institutions that you love so much that are now screaming DEI has to go. We also noticed the flag is divided, representing a divided country. So you see, this was actually an amazing message at a time the country needed to hear it, but all you saw was black people and that pissed you off. I know you said you love jazz music, and I appreciate that you pointed out jazz music was invented and created by black people. That doesn't alleviate you of your racist rant here, especially when you said this about Samuel L. Jackson.
And Sam Jackson monkeying around.
Now listen, you don't have to like rap music. Like what you like. But if you spend a little bit more time listening and paying attention and less time being racist, you might have got the right message and avoided making this corny ass video. Have a good day.
White woman boomer here, wanting to chime in on the incredible, genius performance yesterday during the halftime. I have never been more proud of our youth, our black community, than I was yesterday. What we're witnessing is more oppression, suppression, and a takeover of human life. The fact that they censored the halftime show with their 5-second delay, the fact that we didn't get to see the flag being raised, the fact of the kickback and pushback and arrogance and disgusting opinions from especially my generation who freaking created this shit. I call it like I see it. And I have a daughter, and she's not going to grow up in this world that this regime wants us to live within. So to all of my black brothers and sisters, to all my brothers and sisters of all races, gender, LGBTQ, this white woman is so sick. I've spent my entire life fighting for us all. And to see this young man and his message and his talent lift up and awaken us all, and the vile crap that I'm watching, I won't be silent. I will be standing once again, shoulder to shoulder with all of you, because we have more in common than what is dividing us. My horror stories are nothing like the generational trauma of the black community. That's my passion, breaking generational trauma. And if you don't think that the white-skinned leaders out there are afraid of you, we know that they are. Your intelligence, your athletic abilities, your critical thinking skills, your hypervigilance, this is your generation, and this is your time to rise. And I stand with you all. The cleverness, the lyrics, everything about that display of human rights was amazing. I send you much love, much gratitude, and a heartfelt thank you for all that you have all contributed to this country and to my life, your friendships, the relationships. It saddens me that this is where we are, but I'll be damned. And just like John Lewis said, keep fighting the good fight.
A woman came on this app and said that if you have good politics, you would not be impressed by Kendrick Lamar's performance. She said a real revolutionary like Nina Simone will be rolling over in her grave. Guilty, Your Honor. Lock me up. Put me in the same cell as Angela Davis was in when Nina Simone went to go visit her in 1971 and expressed concern. She said, I don't know enough about social justice. All these books you got in this cell right now, overwhelming. I feel intimidated. And Angela Davis told her, what are you talking about? Your songs could do more to persuade people to struggle than any book in this cell. That was after she wrote Mississippi Goddamn. That was after she wrote For Women. Nina Simone still had no idea the impact her music was having on people. And I thought Nina Simone was a black-ass woman writing black-ass music for black-ass people. This same woman that made the video that I'm talking about, she said that no song in Kendrick Lamar's discography will be as good as Hins Hall by Macklemore. A black-ass man making black-ass music for black-ass people about black-ass struggle isn't as good as that one song by that white man about Palestine. Wicked work. Don't piss me off! 126 million people tuned in to watch this little 5-foot-something man from Compton in flared jeans for 15 minutes. 2 days later, people are still dissecting what he said, the lighting, the choreography, the jewelry he was wearing. You gonna tell me that's not revolutionary? Okay, Cupcake. When we say pro-Palestine leftists have a tendency to be anti-black, this is what the fuck we're talking about. You have black people, Beyonce, Kendrick, whatever, excelling. They're at the top of their field, goddammit. And you can't even allow for an inch of joy. You take any opportunity to be morally superior, even if it's at the expense of your own goddamn people. Ain't it chilly up there? You don't get tired? I ask this all the time, but don't you get tired? God damn.
Hey, just say you don't like black people. I'm so tired of y'all. Y'all, that was the worst halftime ever crowd. Just say it was too black for you. You people, like, if you had quarrels with the sound or I wish you did these songs, cool. But the people that are like, that was the worst halftime show ever, you just don't like black people. That was a masterclass in art with a message, which is what it should be. That is what great art is. You guys probably came in your pants at the Maroon 5 halftime show. I'm so sick of you.
Let me know what you think about these clips that I have put together for us to watch. By the way, shout out to each and every creator that put their thought into this, to dissect through this, because this is eye-opening. It literally takes us deeper into the whole performance. And that's the reason as to why, for me, I say, if it was not that good, yeah? If it was not that generational to watch, then so many people wouldn't be still here discussing this. That is the reason as to why I decided to even keep bringing this, because this performance was sensational. In fact, they are saying that it is one of the most watched and streamed performance in the history of, Super Bowl performances. That tells you what? That this one was legendary, and this performance is going to be talked about. But, besides all the appreciation, we have to get into what this really signifies. I landed on a performance of Kendrick in 2016, and that performance was actually banned off YouTube because it correlates exactly with the same message that Kendrick is putting out there. When this young man talks about a revolution, he's very intentional. He's been very intentional, and he's been carrying this. It is embedded in his DNA, and he's not about to give up. And guess what? That is the revolution that they are most afraid of. If they banned the 2016 performance, I wish I could attach it in here. I probably will, because I do have it in my, my TikTok. That's where I found it. I'm gonna tag the account where I found that performance, and I want you guys to go and look at it. There is just so much passion which the palm-colored people are trying to stop. It's not because they do not understand. They understand clearly what he was talking about. But do you know what they are saying? When they say they don't like this, they are saying, move on. That's another way of always reminding black people, move on. The past is the past. Now you have rights. Pull yourself by your bootstraps. We all started from scratch. When one of the boomers mentioned that black people were promised 40 acres, but instead 160 acres were given to palm-colored people. That right there was generational wealth, but they could not even get 40 acres to give it to black people. This whole message is wrapped in reparations, and they don't want to hear that. Do you find it sketchy that these people pay attention to free Pali and that whole movement, but when it comes to black struggle, to black revolutions, then this is too ghetto? What was too ghetto about this performance that encouraged young people to be criminals? Absolutely nothing, except raising a generation of young black people that are aware of their history, that are not even about to stop letting these people know that you did this to us
and you always keep us silenced. You don't want to hear this. But hey, we do have people. In fact, this is the kind of performance and art that palm-colored people do not like. When they hear music that does not even make sense at all, where it is about, the drill music, smoke, the ashes of someone that they have, if it is about pew pew, where in Kendrick Lamar's performance did he encourage anybody to go and pew pew anybody? When I say this is the kind of art that they don't like, I mean it because they are used to the kind of art where it is about women, where it is about, sex. But when it comes to things, ideologies and messages that need to be put out there, they don't like it. Kendrick Lamar is a poet, and if you know something about poets, they are very intelligent. They are their level of creativity and putting and assembling all these messages all together is on another level. And I understand why most of these people also don't want to listen to this, because most of them are not even that smart, to be honest. You ever wonder why they love country music? Because it is simple. It all goes with the same, it literally follows the same thing. And that's why they didn't like Beyonce's performance too. Why? They don't like her album because it's complex. It goes into creativity. It goes into storytelling, and it diverges away from the normal country, the one that only follows one rhythm and rhyme. One thing you want to know about Black people is creativity when it comes to music and arts, because that is in our DNA. Not just talking about Black Americans. It comes from here on the motherland. When you hear the music and the creatives over here and how complex it is, but how touching it is, yes, that is something that most of these people do not have. So they are used to something that, just rhymes the way they want it to rhyme. But it's so good to see the boomers that were there. They understand the concept of the 40 acres and a mule that was never given to Black people when everybody else was compensated. When these same people are the ones that built the systems that everybody else enjoys. The people that completely say we don't, see color, that time, that performance finally revealed and exposed them that they definitely see color. And how can I forget this? This performance, someone said that Kendrick put a mirror in front of them. And the reflection was scary. They could not face it. And that reflection is them. They could not face the ugliness of some of them. And that's why they wanted to switch off the performance in the first place, because the reflection was too much. It was reflecting so much of them. But also it is telling us that they are guilty of this. And if you know one thing about some palm-colored people, they don't want to feel guilty. That's the reason as why they say, we don't have to feel bad for the actions of our ancestors. Well, why don't you do something different from what your ancestors did? Why don't you put away all those racist, talks and rants? Why don't you treat Black people the same? Why don't you look into the systems and be like, you know what? This is not fair, right? Why don't you go back and get the 40 acres and a mule? Maybe it could be a truck, and give it to Black people. Yeah? You got this freely. You didn't work for this. Welfare babies, right? But guess what? They are so attached to privilege. That's another reason as to why They don't want to hear the revolution that is being televised right now. And also, it goes ahead to show you that the mainstream media has always censored black revolutions. You saw how, the whatever was turned off? Yes. Because they're like, now we have shown them too much. This is too much information. This is too much knowledge. That's why they also want to ban platforms like TikTok, because the voices are unfiltered. People are getting it from their heart and they're giving it out. This goes to show us that they are more afraid of us, of you black people. When I say us, I involve myself, because if you do not know, these people have a plan of keeping black people away from each other and also keeping us away from uniting. So when I say they are afraid of us as a collective, that's exactly what I mean, because in fact, it is part of their agenda to keep us away from each other. If you don't know that, there are videos that are circulating right now where they have this whole agenda of making sure that black people on the whole globe never unite. Why are they afraid of us uniting? Why are they afraid of us having one voice? Another thing that I saw in here is the fact that they've always been happy with black people tolerating their feelings. You see how everything is about their feelings. Yesterday I addressed this and I said they want to be the main character in everything. So that's why their feelings now matter, not everybody's feelings. And I feel like also at this point, people are realizing that they are not as good as they portray themselves, right? And whenever they open their mouth to say anything, they get silenced quickly. Why? Because people can easily see that this is racism, this is hate geared towards black people. They are so quick to silence everybody. Oh, my feelings are hurt. Do you know how many generations black people feelings have been hurt? Black people have always been told, you have to be this. You don't have to be so loud. You don't have to talk like this. You are so aggressive. You are angry. You are this. Be like this. Always they have made us to be afraid of even speaking our own language, because guess what? That is not civilized enough. You hate yourself that bad that even your own language, when you speak it in front of people that speak their language, they'll be like, oh, that one is uneducated. They have conditioned us and told us what we are supposed to be like. But now that black people are taking stages like Kendrick, and it's like, you know what? At this point, it's not about you. It's about us. You're not going to tell me what to say. You're not going to tell me what to sing. I am singing for my people. You take it or not. Even when it comes to music, I feel like they've been trying to tell black people, now do it this way. Now do it this way. Now do it this way. But at the same time, the same thing they are keeping black people from doing, they are also copying it. So if you don't like us that much, why do you copy the culture of black people? Why do you want to partake in this? They say black people food this, black people this, black people that, this, black people this. Like literally always, they want to put black people in a box and tell them be here. Or else, you're not going to be good enough. Because that's exactly what they've been telling. And this performance is telling us exactly that they are saying, this is not good enough for us. You see how everything has to accommodate them. Speaking of feelings and their feelings being hurt, everything has to be about accommodating their feelings and what they want. Anywho, for me, this art is just a masterpiece. Because whatever they are calling ghetto, that's art. That was a masterpiece of poetry all put together. I'm gonna put that performance that was banned off YouTube. It is still speaking about the Black American and African Revolution. Go, Kendrick, go to all the revolutionaries in the black community. My heart doesn't go out to you. My heart feels you. Because as if black people in America are free, yeah, the next thing you know,
the black revolutionaries in America, the reason as to why they were kept away from uniting with the black revolutionaries in Africa is because they didn't want us to be one. If black people in America are free, that's the beginning. My people, what do you think? This was like, yeah, shout out to all the creators. And please subscribe to the channel if you have not, and put your thoughts in the comment section. I will definitely see you in another amazing video. Until then, my name is Gracie and I love you. Bye.